I had just returned from a 2-week business trip in New York. Exhausted, I dragged my suitcase through the door, looking forward to a long shower and a quiet evening at home. "Hey, sweetheart," Ava called from the kitchen, smiling as she wiped her hands on a towel. She looked perfectly normal, like she hadn't spent the last 14 days without me. "Hey," I said, setting my bag down. "I missed you." I meant it. I was about to go hug her when I heard it. A voice, but not hers. "Who's a bad girl? Who's a bad girl?" I turned sharply toward the parrot's cage in the living room. Charlie, our African gray, sat on his perch, his head tilting side to side as he repeated the phrase again. Ava's face paled. "That's new," I muttered, stepping closer. She let out a nervous laugh. "Oh, I think he picked that up from the TV." "Uh-huh," I said, watching Charlie. We had owned him for years, and he had never said anything like that. We didn't even let him watch TV. "Who's a bad girl?" Charlie chirped again. Yeah, just like that." Ava's entire body stiffened. I looked at her, my mind racing. "What kind of TV have you been watching?" She forced a laugh. "Oh, reality shows. They talk like that all the time." I nodded slowly, but something in my gut twisted. I brushed it off for the moment. I was tired, jet-lagged, and I didn't want to start an argument the second I got home. But something felt off, and I couldn't shake it. The next morning, I tried to put it behind me. I made coffee, sat at the table, and listened to Ava talk about her week. She was animated, too animated, her hands moving as she talked about going to dinner with her friends, how work had been exhausting, and how she had barely left the house. That last part made me pause. She hadn't left the house? Then how the hell had Charlie learned those words? "Who's a bad girl?" Charlie squawked again. Yeah, just like that." Ava flinched. I glanced at her. Weird, huh? Her lips pressed together. "I guess." I knew then. She was hiding something. A week later, I was on another business trip, this time in Los Angeles. But I couldn't focus. Every time I tried to work, Charlie's words echoed in my head. Yeah, just like that." It was haunting me. I knew my wife. I knew how she acted when she was nervous, and I had seen that exact expression on her face every time the parrot spoke. I needed to know the truth. So, I hired a private investigator. Tyler Quinn was a former cop-turned-private detective. He had seen it all: corporate fraud, cheating spouses, missing persons. When I explained my situation, he let out a short chuckle. "So, your bird caught your wife cheating?" "Maybe," I muttered. "I just need to be sure." "All right," he said, flipping his notebook open. "I'll follow her while you're gone. If something's happening, I'll find out." I went back to work, trying to convince myself I was overreacting. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe I was being paranoid. Then, 3 days later, I got a call. Tyler's voice was calm, steady. "Mason, you were right. She's cheating." The room spun. I clenched my jaw. "Who?" "Some guy named Eric." I gripped the phone. "How long?" "At least 4 months," Tyler said. "I've got pictures, videos, enough to bury her in a divorce." My heart hammered against my ribs. 4 months. 4 months of lies, deception, betrayal. I exhaled slowly. I'm cutting my trip short. I'll be on the next flight home. I didn't call Ava. I didn't text her. I let her think everything was fine. I landed at midnight, took a cab straight home, and let myself in as quietly as possible. The house was dark. Too dark. I crept toward the living room, my pulse pounding. And then I saw it. A half-empty wine glass on the coffee table. 2 plates in the sink. A man's jacket draped over the chair. Eric was still here. In my house. I walked upstairs, my body buzzing with rage. And then I heard it. Soft whispers. Then, laughter. I reached the bedroom door and kicked it open. Ava screamed. The man, Eric, stumbled out of bed, scrambling for his clothes. "What the hell?" he shouted. My fists clenched. I wanted to kill him. Instead, I laughed. Cold. Bitter. "Enjoying yourself?" I asked. Ava pulled the covers up, tears welling in her eyes. "Mason, I held up a hand. Don't. Just don't." Eric grabbed his jacket. "Look, man, I didn't know." I cut him off. "You didn't know she was married?" His face twisted in guilt. That was all I needed. I turned, walked downstairs, and grabbed Charlie's cage. Ava rushed after me. "Mason, what are you doing?" I smiled. "Taking the only one in this house who told me the truth." Her face crumbled. I looked at her one last time. "I know everything. For months, Ava. 4 months of lies." She sobbed. I was going to tell you. Save it, I snapped. I hope he was worth it. Because you just lost everything. I walked out. I didn't look back. But as I was preparing to file for divorce, I made a shocking discovery she had already filed first. Ava had been planning to leave me, waiting for the right moment. She had already moved some of our money, spoken to a lawyer, and was ready to take everything. I wasn't in control of the situation anymore. I had walked out thinking I won, but I had just stepped into a war. What followed was months of court battles, financial disputes, and pure hell. Neither of us walked away unscathed. We both lost everything. She thought she could cheat and come out ahead. I thought I could expose her and walk away victorious. We were both wrong. By the end, all that remained was ruin, and a parrot who knew all our secrets. Thank you for listening to the story to the end. Please like, share your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel.